So now let's take a look at the air chambers inside of these mattresses. After all, it's the air chambers that make these beds so unique. The first air chamber that we're going to talk about is this gray unit here behind me. Now this is the original technology created by Comfortaire back in the 80s. Now you'll still see this technology used in a very similar fashion by the airbed companies who promote so heavily on television and at your local mall. Now as we look at this air chamber, it's a 6-inch thick air chamber. This air chamber here has seams that run all around the edges, so you have about a dozen seams on this. This air chamber also uses cotton in its construction, so if you're concerned at all about moisture retention, mildew, or mold, you may want to consider an air chamber that doesn't use cotton in its construction. As we look at this air chamber, another important thing to look at is the edge support foam that surrounds this air chamber. Now, this particular type of air chamber requires edge support foam because of how thick it is, but that also prevents that air chamber from being an edge-to-edge mattress air chamber. As we look at the newer models here, this tan unit behind me, this is a urethane blend air chamber. One of the first advantages to point out about a urethane blend air chamber is that by not having cotton in it, it doesn't have any problems retaining moisture, so that means no more mold, no more mildew. The other key advantage to that is it has a single seam that runs the perimeter of that air chamber as opposed to a dozen seams on the old technology. On the newer technology with the urethane air chamber, you'll also notice all of these individual ridges that run the length of this air chamber. That's very important because the more points of support, these little arches that we have along the way, that means more points of contact with your body. The more individual points of contact we can make, it means the less pressure on any given point of your body will take place. As we look at the newer air chamber, it's also important to point out that it's almost half the thickness of the old technology. Now that's important for a couple of reasons. The first reason it's important is because it doesn't take as long to fill up, and it means that there's not as much air to let out, which means there's not the danger of ending up in a hammock style position that might happen with this. So when you're looking at the different models and which one to pick, it's important to consider these things in which model you ultimately want, because these things will make a very big difference on the feel of the mattress, the longevity of the mattress, and really the construction details that you're paying for.